voice of choice, the nation station, Radio Anguilla. The time in our studios now 28 minutes before 11 o'clock, and we'll now take you over to host Keith Stone Greaves for a very special interview for you this morning.
Thank you very much, Kenval. Good morning to listeners here in Anguilla, to the Caribbean, and the rest of the world. We have a very, very special guest with us in Studio A this morning, entering the political arena as an independent candidate for 2020 in the at-large or territorial contesting of the election. The person I'm referring to is none other than Leneva Hodge, an accounting officer, someone who studied and graduated from the H. Laverty Stout Community College in Tortola in 2008, with a concentration is in business management and hotel management. And now she's decided to take that big step, make that big plunge, getting into the political arena here in Anguilla. And she'll be telling us about herself, all the other bits and pieces, why she's decided to enter, and so on and so forth. So we're looking forward to a very good discussion here this morning. So Gleneva, very warm welcome to you.
Good morning, Keith. Good morning, radio listeners. Thank you for having me this morning.
All right, let's get straight to it, Gleneva. Confirming, independent candidate in the at-large territorial designation for the 2020 general elections here in Anguilla. The big question is, why have you decided to throw your hat into the political arena here in Anguilla?
So, independent, and let me state this up front off the bat. I launched as an independent candidate with the hopes that there will be some other like-minded persons entering the race and that we can come together and collaborate. I anticipate that there will be some others entering the race, and I know that has been the hot topic, the most asked question. Who will she align with?
And I'm going to ask it as well. I want to know.
Yes.
In terms of alignment.
Right.
Yes.
Who will she align with? So to answer that question, I think it's very early on in terms of where I will and won't go, but I do anticipate some other fresh faces entering into the race, and I see...
You're confident about that? Other fresh faces entering?
Yes, I'm confident about that.
At large, running at large?
Some of them at large, possibly some in the districts, maybe. I'm not in a position to really say, but I am confident that you will see some other persons and that there is room for alignment in that arena.
So now you're not boxing yourself in and saying, look, I'm with this party or this. We have the two main political parties, AUF, AUM, and I don't know, there might be other parties, I don't know. So, but you're not at this stage prepared to come out definitively and say, I am aligning myself with the AUM, AUF. You're not prepared to say that at this stage.
At this stage, I think it's best that I don't see myself being a member of either of those parties, but there is room for partnership, possibly with one of them. Persons keep trying to play, is it AUF, is it AUM? I will say this, unfortunately at this time, I don't think that my values and my vision, and the vision that many people have for Anguilla aligns with that of the Anguilla United. Partnership with the Anguilla United Front is very much unlikely. Whether or not we can do something with the AUM once the other persons come on board, if we are willing to collab and partner with the AUM, that is possible. But as of this moment, partnership is more likely with other like-minded persons who have not yet.
What if, I hear that coming to my mind, what if it comes down where you have to make that decision?
Between the AU, so you're asking if there is a 5-5 split.
If a 5-5 split, and it's up to you.
And it's up to me. Like I said, it's unfortunate that at this point, I don't think that the values of the AUF align with my own at this point, and so it would have to be a decision that I not make on my own. It's gonna have to be something that my team makes, that the persons who have voted for me, that I listen to what it is that they want.
Okay. I hear you. But getting into the race, why have you decided? Sharp, bright, educated young lady, wanting to get into the race, the politics that many people have described as being dirty and ugly and nasty.
I know.
Why would you want to get into this?
For me, I really think it's just been a natural progression. I've always been in and around politics. I grew up around it. My dad was instrumental in politics, so I had that foundation.
Who's your dad?
Glenn Hodge.
Yes. Former customs officer?
Yes.
From West End. Okay.
Yes. And as much as he was involved, I really did not feel any affiliation until the formation of the Anguilla Progressive Party, the APP. And that is more when I became involved and I started to feel an affiliation towards
What about
that
the
party.
APP that grabbed your attention at the time?
It was new, it was different, it wasn't the status quo.
Young persons?
As a young person, that's where you tend to gravitate. The ideas felt fresh, they felt different. It didn't seem recycled. There were fresh persons coming onto the scene with experience, and I felt that they had something to offer. So that is pretty much where I found myself in terms of affiliation at the time. And so going forward, and I just think things happened and fell into place, with me becoming a member of the Anguilla Youth Parliament and the National Youth Ambassador Corps. Those sort of experiences, CARICOM Youth Ambassador, I can honestly say that was a defining moment for me because I was exposed to other young persons throughout the region with political ambitions, aspirations. One of the persons that I met as a CARICOM Youth Ambassador is a guy from Trinidad, Nikolai, and his last name is escaping me at the moment. And he just recently launched his own political party in Trinidad and Tobago to contest their elections next year as well. So there were a lot of young persons in the region from whom I can draw inspiration. And the time felt right. I can see prior to...
So you think the time is now?
The time is now.
Absolutely now.
Prior to now, I felt like there was no space in the arena for me in terms of the district level, and I always felt more inclined to do an at-large race than at the district level.
Why though? I have to ask a question. Why?
Why?
Why not district as opposed to... Why not large as opposed to district?
As opposed to district. There's no answer. It was just instinct, I guess. Just make at large.
As opposed to your district where
As
you're from West End. Everybody knows you in West End practically. Why not focus on your district? Where you're known, you know the people in the area, the people know you, as opposed to at large now, where you have to appeal to all of Anguilla.
I think it's because of, I guess, my background in terms of, yes, I'm known in West End, but I'm also known island-wide in terms of the exposure that I've had in those organizations. And the fact that even though, yes, I live in Long Bay and I have lived in Long Bay my entire life, I went to Valley Primary School. And so the base of my friends came from Central. And so it just felt a bit more natural to do an island-wide run. And it allowed young people a chance, and all people, but young people in particular, a chance to see hope, and not just in one district, but somewhere that they can gravitate towards.
Gleniva, what are you bringing to the table, to the political table here in Anguilla, that the people of Anguilla, the diaspora, everyone should know about? What are you bringing? What are you adding to the whole political discourse here in Anguilla?
I'd like to say experience in terms of, well, not in the political arena, in terms of government. I've spent the past 12 years working in the financial services industry.
So you think you have an understanding of government, how government works, how it functions, and so on and so forth?
I would like to think so. I've been fortunate enough to have a core team of persons around me who have been able to advise in those areas, and just a fresh pair of eyes. So that we can, I think right now we find ourselves at a stalemate. And so,
So you're not happy with the governance of Anguilla at this stage, and that perhaps have propelled you into the arena.
yes, I think people are asking, people are crying out. They want transparency, they want accountability, and I think that is one of the areas that governance, that I would really like to focus on.
Any other areas apart from governance?
So my platform, I intend to focus on 3 key areas: social development, youth development, and education.
Why these 3 in particular? Any particular reason or reasons for focusing on narrowing the brief to those 3 in particular?
When I initially thought of really getting into this, I thought of what is my motivation, what is it that is going to be my guiding and driving force, and that is putting people first. And each of those areas.
What does that really mean? I hear that all the time. Putting people first.
first.
Politicians say that all the time. Every time I go around and I hear, my aim is to put the people first. The people will come first. What does that really mean?
Okay, so that's and if you look at those 3 areas, you have education. We are going to invest in our people. We are going to invest in their well-being. So social development, it deals with the well-being of everyone, the elderly in particular, those who are whether disadvantaged or vulnerable, most vulnerable in our society. And youth development, again, that is, there's a saying, they say, the youth are the future. No, the youth are now. We are here. We are the ones that can be the driving forces of our society, our economy. That is where it's at.
So so is it that I'm hearing that it's time for the youth of Anguilla to step up to the plate and be involved in a more active way in the management of the affairs of Anguilla? Is that what I'm hearing? Is that what I'm hearing from you?
The reality, Keith, is that they have already stepped up.
Okay.
It's not that I'm saying that it's time for them to step up. They have already stepped up. If I look at within the civil service, there are quite a few departments that are led and headed by young persons. So it's not that we haven't already stepped up. It is that we need to highlight and really appreciate what is that young people bring to the table. And there's a difference there.
The question has been asked, what is your understanding of the political system in Anguilla? Do you have an understanding? Could you share with us your own understanding of the political system in Anguilla? That question has been tossed about to me.
As in the new incoming system, including the
what it is
system.
now and what you wish to articulate. Clearly, you want to bring some new stuff to the table as a young, fresh person coming into the arena.
Right. So as it stands now, and there's no secret, there are 2 main political parties in Anguilla. And, the leader of the opposition is an independent. So 2 main political parties and smattering of independence here and there. However, it is unfortunate that at this juncture in our development, we find ourselves so divided politically that we can either see AUM or AUF. And I find that we need to start to bridge the gap.
How?
By being open to working with persons, and that's why I said that I'm open to collaboration. I'm open to partnering with persons, and it doesn't necessarily mean joining an existing political party to do so. We have to be able to find common ground and work together.
So you see no wisdom in joining a political party. You think you can get things done, not necessarily being affiliated or being a member of a political party as we know it.
Right. I said no one man is an island, and you can't get anything done alone. But I do believe in partnership and collaboration. We will go much further as a country if we can find ways to partner and collab with other persons.
How have you prepared yourself for entering the political arena?
So, in addition to my...
You didn't just get up one morning and said, look, I'm entering. You would have done some calculated preparation, organizing yourself, meeting with the people around you and so on, and then said, look, it's time for me to launch. At least 1 year ahead of the next general election, time for me to get out.
Right. So, again, there wasn't anything that I did that was... I don't think it was intentional. I just, like I said, I just thought it was a natural progression. I know last year I did a certificate with the University of the West Indies in transformational leadership in achieving the Sustainable Development Goals in small island developing states. And that was an eye-opener for me, having to work with persons throughout the region in terms of looking at what are our challenges as a region and how it is that we implement the transformational change needed to achieve those goals. So it was a really intense course, but the networking and the lessons learned from that definitely, I think, prepared me, and it started me on this journey towards moving there. And then like I said, I have a core team of persons. It is skewed mostly heavily on the policy side as opposed to the politics side, because I want to do something different. I want to come with policy ideas. So it's not about the politics, it's not about the nastiness of politics, and that is most unfortunate to me, because it is at this point where we really need to start to speak about what...
You mentioned challenges a short time ago. What are some of the challenges you see confronting your island at this time, and how, if elected, are you proposing to change? What changes would you be prepared to see implemented, and how you would work on getting those changes in place? The challenges confronting Anguilla now, and how you, if elected, going forward, you would make the necessary changes to bring about improvement in the society at large.
Right. You know, growing up, I always looked at and thought about the American dream, and that the American dream was to own a home. And I always thought to myself at that time, but that's not an Anguillan dream, that's an Anguillan reality. And in recent years, it's now become an Anguillan dream, because it's no longer a reality. For a lot of persons, that is not our reality. We can't afford to own our own homes. You know, if the majority of young persons, and some of them are employed in the tourism sector, and they're working on a contract, they can't take a contract to the bank and get a loan. And so those are some of the areas that I would definitely want to look at, and to move back to having that no longer Anguillan dream, but the Anguillan reality. Providing that for them.
Gleneva, I know you're absolutely brilliant with the social media, and we've been looking at your page and looking at what's been happening there. How will you, for example, as an independent candidate, finance your campaign?
You know, that is a really good question, because as it stands now, it's a really grassroots movement. There is no campaign financing except for my own personal funds, which is very limited. But you know, I do believe that word of mouth and persons coming on board and me going out and interacting with persons, you know, I'm not delusional in that campaigns take money. However, it is, again, rather unfortunate, the proliferation of funds that have, you know, corrupted what is our political system. And one of the things that I endeavor to do, even with the limited funds that I currently have, and hopefully if persons believe in the platform that I am pushing, they're going to come on board and they're willing to, you know, donate towards the cause. However, I strongly believe that campaign finance laws are something that must be implemented in Anguilla, and the absence of such will not prevent me from acting as if they do exist. So the producing of audited accounts that will show this is where my campaign finances came in, this is where they went out, because I think while it's important to see where they're coming in, it's also equally important to see where they're going out. Again, coming from a financial services background, we are heavily regulated in terms of money laundering, and I'm not by any means accusing anyone of such, but we are heavily regulated in wanting to know exactly how monies are flowing. Yet in a campaign, there's absolutely no legislation or regulation, so pretty much see how and where those monies
So
are
do you
coming
see
from.
campaign financing as one of the pegs, one of the areas on your as part of your campaign that you will be prepared to address in a vigorous and thorough way?
Yeah, it's not just about talking about it, it's actually about doing it. If I'm going to talk about it, I have to be able to do it, even in the absence of legislation that exists.
At large, so you capture the youth, the young people through your social media network. Other persons in the community who may not have access to social media, how will you then be targeting your campaign? And you're going island-wide, territorial, not constituency. How will you, or how are you proposing to do just that? You'd have to do your messaging and structuring your messaging to hit all of Anguilla.
All of Anguilla. That is correct. And while as of now my campaign is heavily on social media, again with no campaign financing, it was the most economical way to reach persons on that platform. And while older generations may not utilize social media as much as young people do, they are tuned in. There's so many persons in the generation before me and before them that have WhatsApp, and so we've utilized that as well. So it's not just we've been sending messages out via WhatsApp, Facebook, but as time goes, approximately once there more to have each district some door-to-door campaign, actual halls.
Do you think the people of Anguilla really know who is Gleneva?
In the past week, I learned and